Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we're going over the top 5 reasons why you might want to skip on the PlayStation VR2. Now before we get into it, I do want to mention that I am thoroughly enjoying my PlayStation VR2 and have even recommended it to some people, but it's clearly not for everyone. I would hate to overhype a device and then leave someone with buyer's remorse. So if you're on the fence about picking up this headset, here's some justification for you to save your money. Now there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but before we jump in, this video is brought to you by my sponsor Kiwi Design. They currently make my favorite Quest 2 Elite strap, which comes in multiple different versions. You can add an extra battery pack, high quality headphones, or even both. They also have other products like Valve Index style hand straps, and they just introduced a brand new RGB stand. Your controllers and headset magnetically connect. There's a charging indicator so you'll know when your headset's ready to go, and there's plenty of different RGB color options available. There's a link to Kiwi Design down in the description, and don't forget to use discount code Mateo311 for 5% off and to help support this channel. Okay, so I'll be ordering these issues by increasing severity, and the first one is mainly for VR enthusiasts, but it could turn off some newcomers also. Now before we get started, I'd love to hear your opinion down in the comments. If you own a PlayStation VR2, let me know if you agree or disagree with me, or if this video helped you end up making some decisions. While the PlayStation VR2 is an excellent combination of hardware, it's definitely not without issue, and if you're a VR enthusiast who's sampled many different headsets, you might find some of the issues in the PSVR2 unforgivable. Surprisingly, even with 4K panels, you could still see the screen door effect. While it's minimal and fades away once you start gaming, I was just surprised to see it at all. This is most likely due to the pixel array of these panels, making it that much easier to see the space between each pixel. Now, even more intrusive, and in my opinion the worst issue with this headset, is the reprojection when rotating your head. You'll get a very noticeable warping or blurring like effect whenever you use smooth turning or move your head side to side. It was so immersion breaking that I had to switch to snap turning. Now, also similar to the original PlayStation VR 1, the Mora effect is also present. This is an unevenness of pixel intensity or overall color, and it looks a bit like random miscolored dots on the screen. Now I know that sounds terrible, but honestly I noticed this issue least of all. A bit more apparent is this headset's extremely small sweet spot. So unless the headset and your eyeballs are positioned correctly, things will look out of focus. This is due to their choice to use old school Fresnel lenses, which are known for issues like this. Now the trade-off is brighter colors, but I think this headset would have been better off with newer pancake lenses. Now I do have some additional gripes that go beyond the headset's visuals, including their choice to use headphones, and their controller tracking is just good. Now I'm sure some people are happy with headphones, but I can't stand them. They constantly fall out of my ear or I accidentally pull them out, and ideally I would have loved off-ear speakers like the Valve Index, but I might have even preferred in-strap audio like the Quest 2. Now tracking is definitely a huge step up from the original PlayStation, but you will definitely experience some occlusion issues, and it's just not as good as the Quest 2. Now throughout my entire playthrough of Horizon Call of the Mountain, and a little bit of GT7, tracking hasn't really bothered me at all, but I'm sure as I start playing more Pavlov or other shooters, the issues will become a lot more apparent, and this could frustrate hardcore shooter fans. Now moving on from hardware issues, another reason why you might not want to pick up the PlayStation VR2 is new competition is coming soon. Meta has confirmed that the Quest 3 is releasing this year, and you could expect it to be much cheaper and have more functionality and versatility than the PlayStation VR2. It will be including AR pass-through functionality. It is after all a standalone device that's fully wireless, and you will also most likely be able to use it with PC VR. So the Quest 3 appeals to both enthusiasts and newcomers alike. It'll also have a significant GPU boost over the Quest 2, so while it definitely won't be able to match the power of a PS5, it'll definitely be a lot better than what we're used to on Quest right now. And if you are a VR enthusiast, the only true reason to pick up a PlayStation VR 2 is for the exclusive games, which is still quite minimal. If it's better hardware you're looking for, you might want to look into the big screen beyond or something from Pimax. Now another reason why you might not want to pick up a PlayStation VR 2 just yet is the headset's future is still uncertain. Obviously, since it just released, Sony is trying to make it look as appealing as possible. But even with multiple flagship titles like GT7, Horizon Call of the Mountain, and Resident Evil Village, this headset has never sold out. Now that alone isn't saying much, as Sony most likely wanted to avoid all the scalping issues that were seen with the PS5, but even the most generous estimates don't indicate this as a big seller. And this is extremely important because we need a player base for developers to buy in. A few developers out there that I've spoken with want to see roughly 5 million PlayStation VR2s out in the wild before they would consider exclusively developing for that headset and PC VR. So in order for us to stop seeing quote-unquote Quest-ified games, the PSVR 2 needs to really sell. Now I'm sure Sony will try and push more big name titles onto this headset, but if the numbers and the money just isn't there, they're gonna be forced to give up. And this leads us right into our next topic, the incomplete game selection. Now, the PlayStation VR2 definitely had a great launch lineup, but there are plenty of genres that are underrepresented. While action-adventure games do extremely well, their flagship title, Horizon Call of the Mountain, is a bit newbie-oriented. It's not the Half-Life Alyx killer that some people expected, and enthusiasts might be looking for a bit more. The other two major titles are just in less popular genres. A lot of people will never pick up a horror game, let alone one that you have to play in VR. So as amazing as Resident Evil 8 is, it's an instant skip for a large portion of the population, similar to simulation racing games. While some people are sim fanatics, others can just care less. Additionally, we're missing a platformer like Astrobot. One of the most popular genre shooters only has indie representation, and as excellent as Pavlov may be, it's not really a console seller. Hardcore MMO fans will most likely find more enjoyment on the flat screen side, as VR's only option Zenith is a bit too shallow for most MMO fans. And of course, the strategy and MOBA genre is basically non-existent in VR. So the list of games might not have what you're looking for, at least not yet. There are exciting titles like Firewall Ultra and Synapse on the way, but make sure to look through the list of available titles right now, so you know what you're getting yourself into, and don't just buy this headset for Horizon Call of the Mountain. But probably the most significant issue is this headset is extremely expensive, unless you already own a PlayStation 5. Without a PlayStation 5, it's going to cost you roughly $1,000 to get into VR. You could get a $400 discless PS5, and the headset will set you back another $550, but of course you'll also need to buy games. So $1,000 plus is a big ask to find out if you like VR. And as much as I personally enjoy it, I just don't think it's for everyone. Now, if you do own a PS5, this headset is a lot more appealing, but there are still cheaper standalone options that offer more versatility and even some hardware or software updates. Now, the motto of "you get what you pay for" is true here, as the fidelity difference between a Pico 4 or Quest 2 and the PlayStation VR2 is just absolutely huge. Now, this is because we're putting a high-performance console up against mobile hardware, but even though graphics are extremely important to VR games, they're not the end-all be-all. There's plenty of fun to be had on that lower-performing standalone hardware, and if you end up loving VR, you have a potential upgrade path, as you can attach the Quest to a PC, but if VR doesn't end up being right for you, you only wasted $400 and not the $550 to $1,000 with the PlayStation. So let's just briefly recap all the reasons why you might not want to pick up the PlayStation VR2. Number one, it has some significant hardware issues. There's some graphical anomalies that you might struggle to get past, like reprojection and the small sweet spot, plus the tracking is just good, on top of the fact that this is a tethered experience. There's new competition coming in the near future, as both the Quest 3 and Apple VR headsets are releasing this year, and Valve just recently listed a new position for VR hardware. With mixed reviews and not a ton of sales, the future of the PlayStation VR2 is uncertain, and some developers may never fully buy in, so the majority of games will still also be on the Quest. And speaking of games, Sony's current lineup leaves a bit to desire. Whole genres are currently underrepresented, and they're lacking some console seller style of games. But the main issue that'll stop the majority of people from getting this headset is the price. It's $550 without a game if you already own a PlayStation 5, and if you don't, this will cost you over $1,000. So as much as I'm personally enjoying my PSVR 2, I know that's not the case for everybody. There's some buyer's remorse out there, and plenty of shit talking. But I want to know what you think down in the comments right now.
And that was today's video, brought to you by my dad, Mateo311. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here,
Consider subscribing.
consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing. We'll see you guys on next time.
We'll see you guys on next time.